What's up, yo? It's your boy Carlos back at it again. Let's talk about the marvels of discussion over this movie the last couple of days. Obviously, it's a Disney movie, a lot of expectations, a lot of discussion over its performance and what it indicates. Marvel's obviously a sequel to the Captain Marvel film from 2019, where things were quite different in terms of recognition and acceptance of the Marvel brand in Disney when it comes to superheroes. The original Captain Marvel perhaps overperformed, same as you can say for other titles, in my opinion, that were riding the hype euphoria success moment of the Marvel brand that was developed over years, starting with the Avengers and then with all the sequels and all the spin offs, etc., etc., etc. And then Captain Marvel comes out as sort of response and analog to DC's Superman. I think that's kind of how I picture this character, a female Superman being put at the forefront, and it did quite well. Worldwide box office, I think it did $1.12 million. Performed quite well. Came at a time where Disney could do no wrong. So fast forward to 2023, only 4 years later, and the market's at this point maybe oversaturated. The fatigue, the so-called fatigue that has now come in, and that people said that maybe didn't exist, is starting to show that it quite possibly does exist. There is streaming series, multiple movies, multiple outlets for the Disney content, and then you also have the competition who is doing the exact same thing for some reason with DC. And if you put all that together, you start noticing that there's a failure, or not a failure, but there's definitely a slowdown, that correction that's happening with comic book movies. So if you look at the performance of the Marvels, pretty much this is tracking between DC films, between The Flash and Blue Beetle. It's going to be somewhere in between there, maybe a little bit above it, but at the moment it looks to be in between those two. So if you look at the total returns of The Flash being 266 million and Blue Beetle 128 million, that's pretty bad. Now, if you add to the fact that the Marvels had an absurd $274 million budget, you can see that the losses are severe. So how could this be? How could this be happening? If you compare it to other films, for example, like Quantumania, Ant-Man movie, budget of 75 million less, and it still did not even hit half a million. Guardians of the Galaxy, a relatively similar budget, still did 845. So I mean, even this being one of the movies that got the most screens, Guardians meaning Guardians, it's still falling. So this moment of euphoria and hype is starting. It appears to be dying down, not only for the Marvel brand but also for the comic book movie ecosystem. Now, so obviously, all these discussions about why is the movie failing, why is it underperforming, what's going on. Well, this movie is not just underperforming. This movie is like flat out crashing. It's a major loss for Disney. So this is why you've been seeing all this discussion in the past couple of weeks as to where Kevin Feige stands, where the Marvel brand's going to go in the future, how they're going to focus in quality, and they're going to do more mature content with Marvel Showcase, and all these things that is clearly posturing because they know. So these companies usually they have the pre-sales, and the pre-sales is where they know essentially how good or how bad this is going to do, and they knew right away that this is a massive bomb. So what happens with the Marvels? Now you have people like Alison Brie, perhaps not accepting the fact that the film is underperforming. Obviously, this is going to cost her because he doesn't get an extended box office performance bonus, and sequels featuring Captain Marvel at the forefront. They're very unlikely to happen. Never say never, but I don't really see Disney investing big in this character anymore. So you see now um, the reaction, and the idea to blame this on different things like the inability to be able to market the movie properly in because of the writer strike. So my response to that is, yeah, that is a factor. But even if they were able to market this movie with a 275 million production budget, it's still an uphill battle. So that's one case. The other one is more political things, like this being a female-led movie, and there being reaction against it. I'm not so sure that's the case, simply because other movies are also failing, but this one is just doing it in a stronger fashion. So there's a lot to be said for where things stand. The movie, unfortunately, is within a range that is not even within Disney range. It's a DC range at this moment, which is pretty pathetic, considering how the Flash and Blue Beetle performed. I mean, only two between the two of them, they don't even make up for, quite possibly, or they're around, yeah, no less than what Quantumania basically made. So for Captain Marvel to be the most expensive film out of the last few comic book releases, and then to come up this short, it's concerning. They put everything out there. They want to set up sequels for this. They create a spoiler alert, Young Avengers movie, and they bring Kelsey Grammer as Beast to create the Young Avengers. This is just, this is, in my opinion, this is not going to work. The saturation. These brands have done basically what they can for their owners. Some of them have managed them better than others. I think DC has done a horrible job and then should be basically left out of the building for what they've done. But Marvel also has squeezed the life out of the brand. Like, they've just made way too much content, and they've made it into something that it really isn't. Action comedies, and all these like different outlets for actors, or low end directors to take these properties out there and just do what they want. They got too comfortable with their ability to create the hype. The hype could be manufactured. There's rumors that these movies were not making the profits that they should have been making for Disney. Mike Perlmutter, when he was kicked out of Disney, he mentioned that his thing is profits, not necessarily the box office numbers. So the only thing left to conclude is there is not a lot of profit. And to create that kind of hype, that creates what you would assume as films that don't fail, they're too big to fail. You have to spend money, and you have to create and manufacture that hype. So that's probably what's happening right now. That it's a little bit unsustainable. So it's a concern. There's things are being reworked on the Disney end. I think that the Marvel brand is essentially, for now anyways, it's the original Avengers, unless you bring them back, Young Avengers and all these like side small projects, She-Hulk and all these things. They're not really gonna get your hype. You're just diluting the brand. So we're at a difficult moment here for these projects. Is the movie, why did the movie fail? Is the movie that bad, or is the movie just a victim of a market that's starting to change and start to grow disinterested in being overfed with the same type of superhero film? It's probably both. I understand that the director of the film was not in good terms and didn't even finish pre-production. We've known for some time that these directors that are brought in, they're just names and figureheads, and Disney actually does most of the work. So I'm not super concerned about that, but the this model of making these kinds of movies, where it's a green screen film throughout, it's the same type of adventure, it's the same type of setup, or of sequel bait. It's the same thing over and over. And I think that after 33, 34 movies, I think people are starting to look into something else for entertainment. There is Barbie, there was Oppenheimer, there's Avatar, there's Super Mario. There's all these movies are performing much better than a lot of these comic book movies. So I think it's a reality that 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 situation that Disney created many years ago, when they bought Disney. Now we come to a point where they've taken the most out of that brand, and it's eroding a little bit. So what's next for Marvel? They should maybe concentrate on X-Men, on Fantastic Four, on other properties. But it looks like they are inserting them into this idea of this like gigantic shared universe. Not so sure that's gonna work. I think separate to keep them separate might be even better, because this idea that you have to watch what came before and this heavy continuity is starting to weigh down on these products and on these films in these series. So I think you should keep them separate, but not really sure if that's where it's going. They may continue that direction. I don't know for sure, but what I do know is that they are worried about their finances and this euphoric stage. We're well past that, and they have to be more careful with the projects that they do and the product that they deliver. Pretty much everyone in the comic book spectrum should be thinking of that. There might be a correction. Maybe films will be reduced in price in budget. Maybe you're not going to see budgets now starting to bubble up to the 300 million, but going south of 150 million. That could be a thing. You could see less releases. It's hard to tell basically what's going to happen, but I can tell you that it's not looking great moving forward. There is quite a few films that are going to be coming out in the near future, in the next like 2 years. There's a saturation. There's Madame Web, Deadpool 3, Venom 3, Captain America 4, Craven, Joker 2, Thunderbolts. Then you have Blade, Fantastic Four, Superman Legacy, the Batman 2. So it's gonna be difficult to get that money from the market when people maybe don't want to watch that. They may be more interested in watching other original adventures or other type of entertainment in film. So we're starting to cross a line here into a new status quo when it comes to movie entertainment. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I personally think that comic book movies will always be there. There will be profit in them, but they will not be the cash funnel that they have been for the past maybe 6-7 years. That's probably the unsustainable part. So there's a lot to think about. But in terms of the Marvels, what can I say? It's a bomb. It's whether you liked it or didn't like it or have issues with it or think that the film is being unfairly treated. The movie's a bomb basically, and there's no way around it. It's pretty much over for it. So I think lot to reflect upon. We'll see what happens with Disney, but those are my thoughts on the matter. So let me know what you think. Send me a note, and we'll keep talking. Thank you.